ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the Iron Life Podcast. I am your host, Chris Tutela, and want to start off by thanking all of you who have taken the time out of your busy day to leave an iTunes written review or a 5-star review. Thank you so much. And if you haven't had a chance to leave a review yet, if you can do that, if you're enjoying the show, it would really help me out a lot. It would help the show out a lot, and it would help us reach more people and spread our message a little bit better. So thank you in advance for going ahead and doing that. And I just want you guys to know that if you do take the time to leave a written review, I will read your review on air and send you over a T-shirt as a special thanks. So you'll just have to send us over your address and your T-shirt size. But if you take the time out of your day, then I could certainly take the time out of mine to send you a T-shirt. So again, thank you in advance for that. And just to give you a quick update on me, dealing with some injuries. A few weeks back, I don't think I talked about this on the show yet, but a few weeks back in jiu-jitsu, we were doing some stand-up stuff, and during a takedown of my left knee, it got cranked pretty good, and I heard a snap. There was no pain in the beginning whatsoever. I didn't feel any pain, but it just felt weird, and I know I heard a snap. So I'm thinking, oh, shit. But since there was no pain, I just kept rolling. After the round, I weighed it. Knee felt kind of weird, but still didn't hurt. So I rolled another round, and it felt fine, just a little bit weak. Well, that was probably a bad idea because as soon as I was leaving, I noticed that my knee was in a pretty fair amount of pain. And then maybe an hour or two later, my knee was swollen. And I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't bend my knee whatsoever. I was limping around. Going up and down stairs was probably pretty funny for other people to watch, but not for me. It was a bit of a struggle. But so since then, the knee has gotten better. I've gotten an MRI. Now I just have to wait for my follow-up visit to see what the results of the MRI are. But the knee has definitely gotten significantly better. I could flex it. I could extend it. I could put some weight on it now. But I still can't fully extend my knee, not because it hurts, just because the range of motion is just kind of locked at the end. So we'll see what's going on with that. And then if it's what I'm thinking in my gut, originally I thought a torn meniscus. But at this stage, I don't know because I could put a pretty good amount of weight on it. There's really no pain. So I don't know if I just did some damage and because of the trauma that I did, that's what's limiting the range of motion right now. Maybe there's still some swelling going on in there, some inflammation. So we'll have to just wait and see and see what happens and then take it on, whatever I have to do, if that's surgery or if it's just a little bit of rehab. Either way, we'll roll with it. But I share that with you because I want to talk to you about, what I've been doing in my training since then. But here's the funny part about it. So that same day, I just took a beating that day apparently. But right before that roll, I did get caught in an arm bar, and I got a stinger in my right arm. Right, so if you never had a stinger before, for all you former football players or combat athletes, I'm sure you've had your share of stingers. But if you haven't, it's basically you get a nerve that gets pinched and you feel it like a bad burn or stinging sensation in your neck, and it kind of tingles all the way down to your fingers. On that same side. So I got a really bad stinger and my arm kind of went weak that same day right before I hurt my knee. So that happened, it kind of went away, and then the knee happened, and I was so focused on the knee and recovering that and figuring out what the hell is going on with my knee that I didn't really pay any attention to what was going on with my shoulder. But since I've been training upper body, since I hurt my knee and I've only been doing upper body work, now I'm noticing a drastic reduction in strength on my right side. It's actually hard for me to kind of lift my arm overhead. There's no pain, but it feels super, super weak. Like my right delt feels like it's like somebody flicked the switch and just turned it off. It's a struggle for me to lift my arm overhead. It's a struggle for me to do any type of presses. Like there's probably about a 40% reduction in strength on my right side right now. It's so odd and it's so weird because it's frustrating. Again, it just like somebody just pushed a button or flicked the switch off, and all of a sudden my strength is turned off. To the point where I had someone video me doing face pulls, and from behind, as I'm doing the face pull, you could see I'm compensating and I'm like shrugging my right shoulder, and I'm using my trap to get my shoulder elevated. And it's just really, really bizarre and really, really odd. So I'm dealing with that right now too. So it's like my left knee, my right shoulder, no pain in my right shoulder either, just weakness. But still, it's like, geez. But here's the thing. The reason that I share that with you is because most guys will suffer some type of an injury. It might be like, I hurt my knee, or I hurt my toe, or I hurt my finger today. And all of a sudden, they take weeks off of training or 6 months off of training. And by doing that, because that's not like a one-time thing, right? It's like, oh, it's if it's an injury, they take a few weeks off. If it's a schedule thing, they take time off. And this happens over and over and over again. It's one of the biggest reasons why you don't see the results that you want, because of all of that time off in between, whether it be an injury or your schedule, or, hey, I just fell off or whatever, I got lazy. That's one of the biggest limiting factors in your potential for results. If you keep taking time off for every little thing that happens in your life, you're never going to see the progress and the results that you want. It's not like, hey, I could train for 6 months, take a month off, train for 3 months, take a month off, and just kind of repeat that cycle over and over again and expect to see progress. Now, there's certain things, of course, if you're really, really banged up, like you broke both arms, you broke both legs, then you can't do anything. But for the most part, if you have an injury, I'm not telling you to train through your injury. That would be stupid, because then you're just going to make it worse, right? So you don't want to push it and do any more damage. But you do want to train around your injuries, okay? So meaning I have a left knee injury right now. So I haven't done legs at all, just because even unilateral stuff, I for the first week, I couldn't even bend my knee. So I just want, until I get the MRI results, I don't want to train my legs, because I don't want to create any more damage until we see the results. The doctor says, okay, this is what we can do. We can push it or we can't. Then at least I know exactly what's going on and what I should avoid in the gym. But since this injury happened, I've been training my upper body. I've been pressing, I've been rowing, I've been doing overhead pressing, a shit ton of lateral raises, a shit ton of arms. You know, I'm not going to complain about that, getting that Jersey pump on, right? So just because of a knee injury doesn't mean I have to just do nothing for the next few weeks, months, or if I have to get surgery on this knee, if something is torn, doesn't mean I'm going to be sitting out. You should be training. You know, I see this all the time. People have tendonitis in their elbow, and they don't train. Well, come and train the other side. Come and train your legs. I broke my hand twice. Every time that I broke my hand, I was training the other side. I was training my legs. Of course, you're going to be limited. There's certain things you can't do. You got to be safe, but you could still get plenty of quality work in. And what I'll tell you is that by training during or when you are injured, it'll actually accelerate the rate of your recovery. It could potentially accelerate the rate of your recovery. That's because of elevated blood flow. And there are studies that have shown, and I don't know the truth. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but there are some studies that show that if you are injured on one side and you train the other side, there is less of a percentage of strength lost in that injured side. So when you do come back, that percentage of strength is not going to be as reduced as it would be if you did nothing at all. Now, I'm not even so concerned about strength. I'm more concerned about recovery. And also, one of the big things is your sanity. Because if I was doing nothing, I would be going absolutely insane. I'd be going out of my mind. I would never be able to just sit and do nothing. So if you're injured, I'm sure if you're like me, well, maybe not like me. That's a little crazy. But if you are like me, if you're almost as insane as I am, you're going to be going nuts if you're not training while you're injured. It just makes the injury worse. It just gives you more time to think about it. It just gives you more time to, get down on yourself and get bummed out. No, you got to do what you can. Like Vince Lombardi says, the measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. If you have an injury and you have one arm, then you got to go train that arm. If you have one leg, you got to go train that other leg. One of the most inspiring things for me, I remember one day, I'll never forget this. I was training, I was in my early 20s, and I just did not feel like training legs that day. I wasn't injured, but I was just not in the mood. I was just like dragging ass, and I pushed myself to get to the gym because, just got to get it done. But then one of the guys that was training there at the time was in a wheelchair. He was paralyzed from the waist down. And he was there. When I tell you his upper body was jacked, he had his shirt off, and he was preparing for a bodybuilding competition, right? So he was preparing for this bodybuilding competition. He was there training. He had somebody helping him get in and out of his chair to get onto the bench. It was one of the most I got goosebumps the moment I walked in there, and I said, you know what? I'm here complaining to myself that I have to train legs today. What would that guy give to be able to train legs today? And from that day on, I said, I'll never fucking complain about not wanting to train again, because there's people out there right now that would give anything to be able to train the way you are capable of training. So don't ever get down on yourself or don't ever try to complain and beat yourself up over, not feeling like training that day and not doing something that you're fully capable of doing. You're capable of doing the work, right? So if you're injured, you're capable of doing more work, other work. You just have to work around that injury. So don't beat yourself up over it. No, just do what you can. Does it suck? Of course it sucks. But guess what? Somebody's got it worse. That guy in the wheelchair, man, come on. I can't even compare what he is going through and other people are going through with other issues, because my knee hurts a little bit, right? So you just got to put yourself in check sometimes. And one of the biggest mistakes that you can make is not training at all when you do have an injury, because it's only going to speed up your recovery. It's only going to help your sanity. It's only going to help you maintain the strength and muscle mass that you could train and maintain. So don't just take time off. Don't just put yourself on the shelf. You can do what you can do. So just go do it, right? So with that said, I want to shift gears for a second here, and I do want to talk to you a little bit about, one of my favorite ways to finish training sessions is with a finisher. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm a little bit limited, as you could say, as I just told you right now. So I haven't been doing too many of the finishers that I'm going to share with you today, but these are some of my favorites that I've always used in the past, and I think that you're going to get a lot out of, and you can certainly use too. So when it comes to a finisher, basically what that is you're picking an exercise or several exercises or a specific way to finish off your training session for the day. So you could do it with some type of challenging isometric hold. You can do it with some type of pump set. You could do a little bit of a challenge for time. You could do drop sets, or you could do something that's more conditioning based, right? My favorite thing to do is a blend of all of the above, so I could keep different levels of fitness in check. But if you have a specific goal, like let's just say fat loss is your goal, then maybe you want to use more of a conditioning based finisher, for at least one of your programs. If your goal is to build muscle mass, maybe you have one of those pump finishers or one of those iso hold finishers to finish off your training session. So let me give you some examples, and you guys could put this down into your training journals and have some fun with these the next time you are at the gym. So one thing that we're doing right now, and I stole these from my boy Joe DeFranco. Shout out to Joe D. But he has a variety of different shoulder shockers, he calls them, right? So basically, you could take 3 or 4 exercises, and you could shoulder exercises, obviously, and you could perform them back to back to back with no rest to really, and the shoulders respond very well to that type of volume. So let me give you some examples. So one could be, let's just say, an alternating side raise with a static hold. So if you're doing a side raise, you have dumbbells in both hands. With your left arm, you're going to do a side raise. You're going to come up, stick the top position, and then you're going to bring the right hand up, stick the top position. The left hand is going to go down. You're going to do a side raise, come back up, stick the top position. Right hand's going to go down, do a side raise, stick the top position. So you're getting that isometric hold with each rep. So then after you complete 7 reps in each arm, then you could go into a seated dumbbell Cuban press. So now with the same weights in your hands, you're not going to put the weights down. You're going to drive your elbows up. You're going to externally rotate, and then you're going to press overhead. Then you're going to come back down the same way you came up. You're going to kind of follow through that motion on the way down, and then you're going to repeat that for 7 reps. And then finally, you can go into a seated dumbbell L raise, right, or hammer curl with an L raise. So you're going to do basically a hammer curl, but you're going to pause at 90 degrees. You're going to do a side raise. Okay, so now your elbows are going up towards the ceiling, and they're at 90 degrees. From there, you're going to extend your elbows out. So now your arms are straight out to your sides, and then you're going to repeat that back, or you're going to come down back to your sides, and you're going to repeat that back up. So it's a hammer curl, pause at 90 degrees, drive the elbows up to the ceiling, elbows still are at 90 degrees. Then you're going to extend your arms so your arms are out wide to your side, lower down, and then you're going to repeat that for 7 reps. So you could do that for anywhere from 1 to 3 sets as a finisher for those delts, and those bad boys are going to be burning like a sumbitch. So have some fun with those. But check out Joe D's shoulder shockers. He has a few different varieties of things like that you can use. Another thing that I like to do would be like a 20-to-1 incline barbell push-up. So basically, you're going to set your barbell up on a rack on an incline. So you could grab onto the barbell and do incline push-ups. And basically what you're going to do, the first set, you're going to do 20 reps. You're going to stand up, shake it off. Then you're going to go and you're going to hop right into 19 reps. Get up, shake it off, 18, 17, all the way down to 1. You're going to time yourself, how long it takes to complete that. Record your time. Next week, try to beat that. Tremendous pump. It's a fun way to kind of compete against yourself. So that is something that basically everyone can do. If you struggle with push-ups, you might want to make that incline a little bit higher. But that's something that you could totally do. And if you're training at home right now and you don't have a barbell or you don't have a rack, but you do have a bench, you could do the same thing. You could do incline push-ups on a bench, and you could do that same rep scheme. Record the time, try to beat it next week. Another thing that I like to do, I like to really hit the upper back with a lot of volume. So, I mean, there are so many different exercises that you can do for this. And basically with everything that I'm telling you, you could take these ideas and apply them to any different type, with any exercise selection that you choose. But for the upper back, something that you can do, let's just say we start off with incline dumbbell rows. You could do a set of, let's just say, anywhere from 8 to 12. Then you could hop right into face pulls, and we could do face pulls for a set of 20. And then we could finish off with a prone dumbbell iso hold. So you're going to lie on your stomach on top of a bench. You're going to do a row, and you're going to hold that position now for max time. And you're going to really squeeze those shoulder blades together, really targeting that upper back, getting a good isometric contraction in that upper back, squeezing the area, holding that for max time, repeating that for, it could be 1 to 3 sets. All right, your upper back is going to be screaming there. Another thing I'd like to do for those of you who want to pump up the guns a little bit are 21s. So what you can do for 21s, pick your favorite bicep exercise, so whatever curl variation that you want to use. And you're going to start off with the top half of the rep. Okay, so you're going to use you're going to do 21 total reps. So you got to use a weight that's on the conservative side for these. You're going to do 7 reps with just the top half of the rep. Okay, so 7 reps, just the top half of a curl. Then you're going to come down to full extension, and you're going to do 7 full reps. Again, this is without putting the dumbbells down at all. After you do 7 full reps, you're going to do 7 of the bottom half of the repetition. So you're going to do 7 reps now. We're doing the bottom half. Those biceps are going to be burning up like a mofo. You could do those with hammer curls. You could do them with incline dumbbell curls, standing dumbbell curls, barbell curls, easy bar curls, reverse curls, however you want to do them. Feel free to switch those up. Just make sure your technique stays in check, okay? That's ultimately the most important factor here, is that your technique does not go to absolute shit because you're fatigued. So I just want to give you a little bit of caution there. Now, another thing, if you want to hit the abs a little bit, I like to do ab circuits. That's the way I like to train abs. So we could pick anywhere from 3 to 4 exercises. And most of the time, if you're doing this on a leg day, just 1 round is going to be more than enough. But if you want to do 2, you could certainly do 2 as well. So the way an ab circuit works, what I like to do is I like to target the abs in different directions, and then I like to use some type of anti-rotation movement like a plank. So just to keep it simple here, let's just say you start off with a hanging leg raise, and we do 12 to 15 reps of a hanging leg raise. So then after that, you'd hop down, go right to the floor, have your weight set up, and then you could go right into a weighted Russian twist, and you could do 20 total, or 20 reps each side. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. So you're getting that rotational movement, and then you could go right into a plank, and you could hold that plank with listen, most planks that people do go to absolute shit because they try to hold it for 5 minutes. Hold it for a minute. Hold it for 45 seconds with maximal tension, more like an RKC plank where you're pulling the floor down towards your knees with your elbows, and you're kind of thinking about bringing your knees up to your elbows so you're meeting in the middle. You're flexing your abs. You are squeezing your glutes like your life depends on it, squeezing your quads and your abs and your pecs like your life depends on it, and you're breathing behind that brace, but full tension, a full contraction while you're in that plank. Don't just hang out there, right? Turn that shit on and do that for max time. If you do it for max time, 45 seconds, 60 seconds, that's going to be it. You're going to be toast, especially after doing those other 2 exercises first. So an ab circuit, that's a great way to target the abs, but pick any 3 or 4 exercises, and you could do, train your abs in that way, and I guarantee you're going to see a better training effect, and it's just a nice, fun way to finish your workout. Talked about those isometric holds that you can do. So a really simple one would be a wall sit. Put your back up against the wall, sit down to about 90 degrees, Make sure your feet aren't too far out in front of you, but they're not too close to the wall either. Your knee angle should be about close to 90 degrees, hands on your shoulders, and you're just chilling, kind of relaxing there. That's one easy way, especially if you're training in a group environment. That's always fun. The problem with wall sits is most of the time people cheat and they don't even realize they're cheating. They drop their butt too low. They move up and down. Once you start moving, the set is over. You have to be fixed and glued to that wall and glued into that position without moving in order for that to really be effective for you. But you can do the same thing. What I like to do better, because you can't really cheat as much, is a split squat isometric hold. Now, these are absolutely brutal. We're actually doing these right now at TTS. But what you do is you place your hands on your hips, get in a good split squat lunge position, lower yourself to the floor. Your back knee will be just hovering the floor. Maybe it's a half an inch above. And you are just holding there for as long as you can. The first leg is going to feel a lot easier than the second leg, so you have to be conservative. So the first time you're doing it, if you're still going and it's 40 seconds, 45 seconds, I would suggest cutting it off between 45 to 60 seconds. Rest maybe 20, 30 seconds, and then do the second leg, and you're going to see that second leg is going to be a lot more challenging than the first leg. And you have to match the time. That's the rule. You have to match the time that you did on the first leg. You don't want to go beyond it, and you don't want to go less, which is why you have to be conservative on that first leg, because it's going to get fatigued as a motherfucker. So make sure that you're conservative the first time that you do it. Record your time. Then try to beat it the following week, but at least you'll have an idea of how that second leg is going to feel, because that is a brutality. There's plenty of different push-up challenges that you could do. I already talked about the incline push-up challenge, but you could do a 4-minute push-up challenge. Basically, you set the clock for 4 minutes, and you're going to do as many reps as you possibly can within 4 minutes. You could put your knee down, obviously, rest, recover, do as many reps as you can. You're fighting against the clock. Make sure your technique stays in check. And you are going to record the amount of reps that you could do in 4 minutes. And then you're going to repeat you're going to try to beat the amount of reps that you did the following week. Simple enough, right? We talked about 21s. We talked about the shoulder shockers, the ab circuits. What else could we do here? Well, let's talk about conditioning wise. So one thing that I don't think people do enough of is work on developing their aerobic capacity, especially you meatheads out there, right? So your aerobic capacity is going to really help with your conditioning, but it's also going to help you recover between workouts. If you are an athlete who plays a sport that is mostly anaerobic, a strong aerobic system will still help you recover in between plays. So it actually will help you kind of recharge those anaerobic systems. So your conditioning will improve even for your anaerobic sport. Cardiovascular health, longevity, a strong aerobic system is really key to your overall fitness and health. So neglecting it, obviously, is not a good thing. So ways that you could kind of work that in as a finisher, I like to do these on lower body days, or if you're doing full body, you could throw them in on a full body day, because those upper body days, we want to get a pump afterwards. So I would recommend one of those upper body pump finishers. But wherever you want to throw them in, even if you want to do it on an off day, but let's just say we take 3 exercises, right? Simple, jumping jacks, mountain climbers, and squat thrusts, right? I like to do body weight stuff like this. So you could do 30 jumping jacks, then you immediately go to 20 mountain climbers, you immediately go to 10 squat thrusts, you keep the time running, and you do 5 rounds of that. Record the time that it takes you to complete 5 rounds, and you try to beat that time the following week. You could do that with, let's just say, seal jacks. Let's say, what else could we do? We could do mountain climbers again, and then we could finish off with skier swings, right, for 10, 30, 20, 10. You could do something like that. There are so many different options that you could do. You could even, if you want to grab a jump rope, you could do a jump rope, hit the deck squats, and burpees if you wanted to do something like that. Again, there are countless options that you can do. Be creative. Put it down, write it down, and give it a shot. See how it goes. Record your time. And those could be super challenging. You could even do stuff like just straight 5 sets of straight mountain climbers, let's just say. You get down on the ground, and we do a 30-second set of mountain climbers. We rest 60 seconds. We do another 30-second set of mountain climbers, and we do that for 5 rounds, right? And we could even do more rounds or less rounds, depending on your level of conditioning and how exhausted you feel after you do 3 rounds, right? So you have to build up that capacity. But anything like that, I'm a huge fan of. I love jumping rope. So as a finisher, let's just say you do 5 sets, you set the clock for 30 seconds, and you do as many double unders as you possibly can for 5 sets for 30 seconds. Or you keep the clock running, and we just do it in intervals, right? So for 60 seconds, you just do straight jumps, and then after you reach 60 seconds, for 15 or 30 seconds, you do double unders as hard as you can. And after that 15 or 30 second window, then you go right back to straight jumps for 60 seconds. And we do that for 20 minutes, and that will be brutal, right? So it's just going to depend on you, your level of conditioning, and what you have access to. But that's definitely a way that you can have some fun with your conditioning, developing your different energy systems, and making conditioning a little bit more practical, because not everybody has time to train, 6 days a week, 7 days a week, whatever. Throwing that in as a finisher is a nice way to get that conditioning in. So what this means for you and how you can kind of split this all up, if you're looking at, your training week, let's just say you're doing an upper body day, a lower body day, a full body day. Maybe on the upper body day, we finish off with one of those upper body pump finishers. Maybe on the lower body days, we finish off with the ab circuit that I told you about. And then maybe on that full body day, we finish off with a conditioning circuit. So now over the course of your training week, we're hitting different areas. We're doing different things. We're finishing off your workout with on a challenging note, right? We're making it fun, especially if you're in a group environment. If you're a coach, you're running group sessions. I love to finish off with some type of challenging finisher. It builds camaraderie. It makes it fun. Gets guys and girls pushing each other and cheering for each other and motivating each other. So there's so many different things that you can do. And for yourself, too, just going to make your training a little bit more interesting and more fun. So, and one thing I forgot, too, that I'd really love to incorporate, 2 things, actually. One would be some type of strongman work. So maybe you do 5 sets of 30 seconds on farmer's walks, right? Something like that, some type of loaded carry, or sled pushes, right? If you have access to a sled, you could certainly do sled pushes, sled drags. You could do five sets of either for distance or for time, and then have a set rest interval where you rest for, let's just say 60 seconds, and then you repeat 5, 6, 7, 8 sets, whatever it is. Another thing you can do on the conditioning side is kettlebell swings. Maybe we go hard for kettlebell swings for 30 seconds, rest for 60, repeat that 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds, whatever. That's another fun one. Or there are a lot of other kettlebell exercises you could do. Maybe you do windmills for 5 rounds. Maybe you put all this stuff into a circuit, like I told you about before. Maybe it's jump rope, kettlebell swings, and squat thrusts, and you do that in a circuit for 5 rounds, right? 1 minute of jump rope, then you go to the kettlebell swings, you do that for 30 seconds, then you do mountain climbers for 20 seconds, and then you repeat, right? So it's just, there's so many different options out there that you can do and take advantage of. It'd be a shame not to. And one of my favorite pump finishers are drop sets. So if you've never done a drop set before, basically what that is, it's an extended set. So let's just say we're going to do an incline dumbbell press, and we grab a weight that you could handle for 10. Let's just say you could handle the 90s for 10. So you get down on the bench, you grab your 90s, you do a set of 10. You immediately place those weights down, and depending on how hard that set of 10 was, you're going to determine if you're going to go 5 pounds lighter, 10 pounds lighter, 15, 20 pounds lighter. It's just going to really depend on you and how that first set felt, how much room you think you have. But for simplicity's sake today, let's just say you drop 10 pounds. So now I grab the 80s, and I'm going to do another 10. And now that's really hard. So on that third set, I'm going to choose to drop maybe 15 pounds or 20 pounds. So now I'm going to grab the 60s or maybe the 75s. I'm sorry, the 55s maybe. And now, how many? Wait, did I just fuck that math up? 60. So yeah, maybe I grabbed the 60s, right? That sounds more like it. I grabbed the 60s, and now I do another set of 10. But that's back to back to back. There's no rest in between those 3 sets. That's your drop set right there. So maybe you finish off with 1 or 2 drop sets for a specific exercise. So it could be a dumbbell press. You could do that on curls. You could do that on push downs. You could do that on an upper back exercise like rows. Any way that you want to do it, but you could totally work that stuff in. You'll end with a screaming pump. You'll feel good. That's your beach day pump right there. After you finish that upper body day, once the weather starts getting nice here in the dirty Jers, before we hit up Tiki Bar, that's what we do. We hit a nice drop set on an incline dumbbell press after our upper body training session. You know how we do it over here, and we go have some fun. But guys, give those finishers a try. If you have any questions, you could always shoot me a DM on Instagram at Chris_Tutela. But this is a nice way to up your training and have some fun with a challenging finisher. If you have a training partner, it's a nice way for you guys to push each other, kick each other in the ass a little bit, talk some shit, have some fun, man. That's what training is all about. So enjoy that. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, if you're enjoying the show, just do me a favor. Share this episode with one of your closest friends, family members, coworkers, anybody who you think could benefit from the show. Just send it over to them. Just text them over the link. Say, hey, check the show out. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And that would mean the world to me. I love and appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much for listening. And I will catch you next week on another episode of the Iron Life Podcast. Peace.